to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024. NDTV is the top-most news platform in the country. Number one in both online and offline reach in India. Beating all its competition, NDTV stands for trust.
हमारा संविधान
भारत की महान परंपरा अखंड धारा उस धारा की आधुनिक अभिव्यक्ति है।
Finally, the opposition and government to square off over the constitution in parliament.
पूरे देश में एक ही संविधान चले।
वो कहते हैं कि लाल रंग का संविधान राहुल गांधी दिखाता है।
Parliament all set.
You are watching the world 24/7 on the NDTV network. I'm Parmeshwar Bava. Let's begin with the top stories you need to know. Syria's leading rebel group has named a new prime minister to head the country's transitional government as outside powers move to shore up their interests in the wake of the Assad regime's collapse. Amid a power crisis in Syria, India has evacuated 75 Indian nationals from the conflict-torn country. The evacuation was conducted 2 days after the rebel forces ousted Assad's authoritarian government. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh met Putin in Moscow to enhance India-Russia defence ties, also urging faster S-400 deliveries and increased military collaboration. The 26-year-old accused of killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson is being held without bail in Pennsylvania as he fights extradition to New York, where the murder took place. And an NDTV exclusive, we'll be joined by an inspiring young leader making history at one of the world's oldest debating institutions. Anushka Kale, a 20-year-old British Indian student, has just been elected president of Cambridge University's prestigious Cambridge Union Society. Our big focus, Syrian fighters who ousted President Bashar al-Assad have appointed Mohammed al-Bashir as the country's caretaker prime minister. Now, al-Bashir, who previously headed the Hayat Tahrir al-Sham-led government in Idlib province, will now lead a transitional government, but his term will last until the 1st of March next year. A little bit of context about him: he has served as the head of the rebel administration's self-styled Salvation government since January and previously held the role of its development minister as well. But his immediate challenge, presiding over a country that's divided and battered actually by 13 years of war and seek to unite it in the traditional seat of power, which is Damascus. Well, for further clarity, we have with us Professor Sari Hanafi, Professor of Department of Sociology, Anthropology and Media Studies, currently joining us from the American University of Beirut. Thank you so much, Professor Hanafi, for making time for us. How do you see the latest developments with Syrian rebels having overthrown the Assad regime and now appointing a head of transitional government?
Yeah, this is a wonderful thing. This is a very brutalized dictator, and I think the Syrian people suffer for 56 years with the if you like, governance of his dad, Hafez al-Assad, and Bashar al-Assad, and it was a very violent regime, using systematically torture, violating of human rights. So finally, after 13 years of since the outset of the Syrian revolution, the Syrian people succeed in a very civilizational way, I would say. The succession of power, there is very little casualties in this war. The importance is really that the new leadership recognize the diversity, ethnic diversity, religious diversity of Syria, and seek not to impose public morality, if you like. We saw yesterday in the communique of the leaders of revolutions that no one should undermine the way people would like to dress in the public spheres. So I think there is a significant positive signs, to let us think that so far there is a perspective of transition into a state of law. I would say into democratic state, even if the new leaders, they don't like to use this word democratic state.
In fact, Professor Hanafi, this is something many living in Syria for the past 13 years have reiterated time and again, that it was a very violent regime. There was systemic torture, there was a violation of human rights in broad daylight, but many emphasize that managing a rebel region of some 5 million people is actually a totally different task from a national leadership role in a country that's torn by deep divisions, as you are highlighting, and where many people live in poverty as we speak. So what do you think about these rebel forces then, the HTS and the Kurdish forces? Do you feel that after having overthrown Assad, there would be some peace among these factions?
Yeah, this is a very good point. I think first of all, it's not about liberation of Sham committee, if you like, HBS. It's about a unifying effort of all, if you like, the revolutionary forces, except the Kurds, who unify themselves in order to advance to liberate Damascus and toppling down Syrian regime. So there is a specificity, I would say, of the Kurdish area, and I think in the future should be some negotiation to have a decentralized confederation type of governance in Syria. But I don't think this is a big hurdles. I mean, I think how the revolutionary forces were able to convince Christian, Alawites, Shia that no one will hurt them, and this is what happened so far. I think they will send the same message for BYD.
Well, Professor Hanafi, thank you so much as always for joining us on NDTV. We will of course revert to you for regular updates to understand this conflict better. But amid this power crisis in Syria, India has evacuated 75 Indian nationals from the conflict-torn country, and the evacuation was conducted 2 days after the rebel forces ousted President Bashar al-Assad's authoritarian government. In fact, this evacuation was monitored closely by the Ministry of External Affairs, and the remaining Indians have been advised to keep in touch with the embassy. And the embassy has said over the last 3 days that they are monitoring all developments very closely. In other news, despite ongoing geopolitical challenges and significant pressure, India has made a deliberate choice to not only maintain strong ties with Russia, but also deepen our cooperation. This is something Defense Minister Rajnath Singh has made clear as he touched down at the Kremlin in Moscow, emphasizing India's unwavering support for its Russian allies. Speaking during the 21st India-Russian Intergovernmental Commission on Military and Military Technical Cooperation, Rajnath Singh assured that India will always stand by Russia, a sentiment he later reiterated in a meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Putin met with our defense minister at the Kremlin, and during this meeting, Rajnath Singh has said that friendship between our countries is higher than the highest mountain and deeper than the deepest ocean. In fact, earlier, our defense minister met his Russian counterpart and discussed about strengthening bilateral ties on this 3-day visit to Russia. In fact, Rajnath Singh, you must also note, had asked Russia to speed up the deliveries as far as the S-400s are concerned. A quick update from the United States now, where the 26-year-old accused of killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson is being held without bail in Pennsylvania as he fights extradition to New York, where the murder took place. But in his first public words since a 5-day search ended with his arrest at a McDonald's in Pennsylvania, Luigi Mangione emerged from a patrol car shouting about an insult to the intelligence of the American people, while deputies pushed him inside a courthouse, as you just saw on your screens.
What's happening, Luigi? What's going on, Luigi? Watch yourself.
In other news, Anushka Kale, a 20-year-old British Indian student, has been elected as the president of the Cambridge Union Society, which is one of the world's oldest debating societies. She's been elected for the Easter 2025 term. Now, this makes her the first female president of the society since the previous Easter term. This is a huge deal. Over the years, the Cambridge Union Society has hosted figures such as Winston Churchill, the Dalai Lama, Bill Gates, as well as Stephen Hawking. And we're joined by the inspiring young leader making history at one of the world's oldest debating institutions. She has been elected uncontested for 2025. And Anushka was also previously serving as the debate officer. She is known to champion diversity, international dialogue, and also stronger ties with cultural groups. Let's just hear from her about her exciting plans for the future of free speech and debate. Thanks so much, Anushka, for making time for us on NDTV. You've described your vision for the Cambridge Union as one focused on diversity, inclusivity, accessibility. But Anushka, what does success look like for you in terms of achieving these goals by the end of your term?
I think in terms of my metrics for what that will look like, or at least what success will look like, that will primarily be monitored by the number of collaborations we have. So are we having events that are opening up this space with cultural societies in particular and access-based societies, which I mentioned in my manifesto, I was really keen to engage with. It will look like the kinds of people or the demographics that are entering the building, staying and engaging in events. And a key part of it is obviously we do have a lot of members who are from access-based backgrounds or from minority ethnic backgrounds, and making sure that we're engaging those existing members as well. So what attendance looks like for events, what take-up is like, especially for more diversity-based initiative and events.
You've expressed a desire to collaborate with cultural societies at Cambridge, but how do you plan to ensure that the union is not only diverse in terms of the speakers it hosts, but also in terms of who feels welcome and also represented in these debates?
I think a large part of those two go together. I think when people see speakers from diverse backgrounds, and I think having those speakers from diverse backgrounds isn't just good for inclusivity, it also makes free speech and the conversations that we're having a lot richer and more interesting. And it's definitely something that's been in the heart of my term this term as debates officer, and something I would continue. But I think that has a twofold effect. One is obviously bringing together these exciting conversations that have all of these diverse voices, but the other is people seeing these more representative voices and feeling that they can still engage in these conversations. Another part of it, obviously, is collaborations, like I mentioned, with different societies that are bringing together people from different backgrounds so they feel more included. And another aspect is we already do have a lot of different schemes, such as access-based memberships that exist. So really promoting and highlighting the fact that we want this to be an inclusive space, and that in many ways it really is at the moment, and just highlighting the existing mechanisms that are there so people feel like they can really get involved.
Well, many would agree with you that diverse speakers do make free speech and conversations rich. But on that note, if you had to choose one debate or one speaker or event from your time at the union that has left the most lasting impression on you, which one would it be and why?
I think the event that I would pick, it's a debate that we host every year. It's our annual debate on the motion, "This House has no confidence in His Majesty's government." And what we do for it is we bring together high-profile politicians from whichever party is in government at the moment. It's currently the Labour Party this year. And then we get opposition parties as well. That can be Conservatives, smaller parties, etc. And we put them head to head to really challenge each other and to really scrutinize each other's records. And I think it's one of those particular events that students really love. It's a chance to really engage and interact with high-profile politicians and really ask them questions. This year, when we organized it as when I was debates officer, there was such high student and membership engagement. Students really wanted to challenge these speakers, ask them questions, talk to them in the bar afterwards, talk to them in the chamber afterwards. It's really one of those events that I think really shows the best of the union, because you have these high profile speakers, but you also have the opportunity to challenge, to question, and to hold them accountable.
Well, you've got big shoes to fill, and I'm being modest here, but the Cambridge Union has a long legacy. It's had past presidents like Arianna Huffington. Do you feel any particular kind of pressure, or are you looking at this role a little differently, Anushka?
I guess the first thing I'm going to say is I'm a student. I'm 20. So at the moment, I'm obviously focusing on my studies and also on putting together a great term card for members and for putting together a great, for helping the society to continue to move forward. In terms of where I see my future going, I'm really interested in politics. So I'm hoping that's something that I get involved with in the future or continue to get involved with. And obviously in the UK, there's a great history or current times. We've had a lot of politicians from South Asian and from Indian backgrounds, like recently, obviously, with Rishi Sunak as Prime Minister, really get involved in politics. So that's a great trajectory to kind of witness. And also, we do have strong connections historically with quite prominent figures at the union, like Nehru spoke at the union. So there is a strong Indian tradition. And these are things that really matter to me and that I'm hopeful to get involved with in the future even further, but also things that I'm hoping don't hamper my term, and I just want to put on a great term at the moment.
And with such an important and challenging role ahead of you, what do you hope your presidency will be remembered for in the history of the union?
I think I would want my presidency, and I hope my presidency is remembered for the real central focus that it puts on diversity, inclusivity, and on access. All the things that I've spoken about so far in this interview, but because I think this is what helps us put on high quality events and bring together really exciting speakers. And I want it to be a term where people felt like they could really get involved, where there were loads of different opportunities highlighted for them. And I want it to be one where we are remembered, because I think if you really put in the effort with putting together a good term card, you can really get some really exciting speakers. And I want to put together speakers and debate events that people really feel challenge them and that they get excited by.
Right, finally, many are inquisitive in India, around the world, but as someone who has successfully navigated the application process and now leads one of Cambridge's most historic societies, what would you say are some key do's and don'ts for prospective students applying to the University of Cambridge?
I think obviously I can't comment in terms of admissions for other people, in general, but I'd say from my personal experience, when I was applying to the university, I study English literature, and it's a topic I'm really interested and excited by. So for me, a large thing was picking a subject that really inspired me and that I was willing to get into, so that when I was preparing for my interview and I was writing my personal statement, I could just really get into these books, and I really enjoyed doing it as well. And I think when I did do my interview, I tried to think about it as a conversation and a chat with people that I was, with professors who knew a lot about the subject, and where I would get a chance to just kind of explore my thinking around the topic. So I would say, pick a subject that you're really enthusiastic about and get lost in it, spend time reading and enjoying it.
Well, Anushka, thanks so much for making time for us and joining us on NDTV. As I mentioned, the Cambridge Union Society has hosted figures like Winston Churchill, Bill Gates, Stephen Hawking, and now Anushka will be heading it come Easter as the president. We'll be watching your journey very closely. Thanks so much. And as always, news and updates continue right here on NDTV. We're stepping into a very short break now.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
New day, new show, a new experience. Start your day with the news, not views. We bring you stories that matter and impact your lives. News that informs and keeps you ahead.
From Maximum City, Mumbai,
to the seat of governance, Delhi, NDTV brings to you the best breakfast show. The breakfast show only on NDTV 24/7 every morning at 8 a.m.
We are able to solve lot of issues of farmers in the constituency.
I want to do something that can make a difference.
लगातार जनता की आवाज को सरकार तक पहुंचाने का काम मैं करता हूं.
I was a student up until very recently. I really want to work and do something for my people because they have given me this opportunity. They have elected me.
काफी सहयोग मिला मुझे. कभी ऐसा लगा नहीं कि मैं फर्स्ट टाइम एमपी हूं.
NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the top-most news platform in the country. Number one in both online and offline reach in India. Beating all its competition, NDTV stands for trust.
Well, as Indians, we take immense pride in Chef Vikas Khanna's remarkable representation of our culinary heritage around the world. Known for his relentless dedication, Chef Khanna has played a pivotal role in showcasing India's fine dining in some of the most iconic cities across the globe. But now, adding another feather to his cap, Chef Khanna's New York-based restaurant, Bungalow, has been awarded the prestigious Michelin 2024 Bib Gourmand Award. This recognition the chef shares feels incredibly personal as he continues to elevate Indian cuisine on the global stage. And for the first time ever, Canadian music legend Bryan Adams performed in Shillong in the Polo Ground. For years, Bryan Adams' timeless tunes have been a major part of Shillong's music scene. So for longtime fans, this concert represented the culmination of decades of admiration. The summer of '69 famed singer performed at Shillong in the Polo Grounds. He's also going to be performing in Gurugram, Mumbai, Bengaluru and Hyderabad during his tour. Well, switching tracks from Lapata Ladies to All We Imagine Is Light, Chaya Kadam has had an extraordinary year. The acclaimed actor stars in All We Imagine Is Light, a groundbreaking film directed by Payal Kapadia, for which she has also been nominated at the Golden Globes as the first Indian female director, the first ever for an Indian female filmmaker. The film has swept international acclaim, being named Best International Film by both the New York Film Critics Circle and the Gotham Awards. It was also declared the best film of the year by the esteemed Sight and Sound magazine. Gauri Dwivedi spoke to Chaya earlier. Listen in to what Ms. Kadam told us.
Chaya, thank you so much for speaking to NDTV, taking out the time. My first question to you is, आप unconventional characters जैसे लापता लेडीज़ है, All We Imagine Is Light है, उन सब में काम कर रही हैं. कैसा रहा है 2024 आपके लिए और कैसे रहे ये सारे characters?
Yes, 2024 मेरे लिए बहुत सारे सरप्राइज लेके आया है. सो बहुत खुश हूँ कि 2024 में एक तो लापता लेडीज़ मेरे हिस्से में आई और मंजू माई जैसा कैरेक्टर मुझे करने को मिला. किरण राव की मैं यानी हमेशा के लिए थैंकफुल रहूँगी कि एक एक्टर को मंजू माई जैसा कैरेक्टर प्ले करने के लिए मिलना बहुत बड़ी बात है, क्योंकि कुछ कैरेक्टर्स है ना कि सिर्फ फिल्म तक सीमित नहीं रहते. वो कैरेक्टर है ना ज़िंदगी भर आपके साथ रहते और आपकी हिम्मत बढ़ाते रहते. तो मंजू माई मेरे लिए वैसी थी. और उसके बाद आया ऑल वी इमेजिन एज लाइट वाली पार्वती. और ये दोनों कैरेक्टर है ना बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग लेडी है.
Indeed.
तो बहुत मज़ा आया करने के लिए. और ऐसे कैरेक्टर है ना जिनके जैसे पार्वती के लिए पार्वती का चलना बोलना, और पार्वती के पॉजेस बहुत बोलते हैं. तो उसके ऊपर काम करने में बहुत मज़ा आया. और किरण राव और पायल कपाड़िया
विमेन डायरेक्टर्स,
बहुत यानी
विमेन डायरेक्टर्स के साथ हिस्ट्री लिखी जा रही है. विमेन डायरेक्टर्स के साथ क्या बोलेंगी आप कि अब इंडस्ट्री में और विमेन डायरेक्टर्स आ रही हैं और उनका काम जो है वो दुनिया भर में सराहा जा रहा है. दुनिया के बड़े बड़े फेस्टिवल्स में विमेन लेड stories, women directed stories and films आगे बढ़ रही हैं।
यस ये यानी बहुत बड़ी बात है। मुझे शुरू से ना बहुत यानी लेडी डायरेक्टर अगर है ना तो मुझे इतनी खुशी मिलती है ना कि मैं स्टोरी सुनने से पहले ही ऐसे लगता है कि यार इनके साथ कुछ तो करने को मिलना चाहिए। सो पायल और किरण के साथ काम करने के लिए मिला, वाओ।
पायल कपाड़िया के साथ काम करना कैसा रहा?
फिल्में बनाई नहीं, 2 फिल्में ऐसी बनाई पायल के साथ
जी।
अरे बहुत ही यानी ना बहुत सालों के बाद इस फिल्म के लिए हम लोग ने जो वर्कशॉप किया था, यानी मेरे लिए वो यानी इतना कुछ सीखने को मिला ना कि वही है जो पॉजेस के साथ खेलने के लिए मिला है ना, वो बहुत ही अलग था, बहुत ही। यानी कुछ हम लोग ने जो कुछ 7-8 दिन वर्कशॉप किया, यानी मुंबई को इतनी अच्छी तरीके से समझ के लेना। यस, यानी पार्वती हमेशा मेरे लिए एकदम खास रहेगी। और सेम है वो बस लापता लेडीज
जी
को लेके।
ये बताइए इससे
यानी छोटी बातें कि
इंडियन सिनेमा पे, इंडियन फिल्म मेकिंग पे कितना असर पड़ेगा कि ये इतनी बड़े अवार्ड्स में जैसे गोल्डन ग्लोब है उसमें मूवी सिलेक्ट हो गई है, मूवी शॉर्टलिस्ट हो गई है, ऑल वी इमेजिन एज लाइट, उससे इंडियन सिनेमा पे कितना बड़ा असर पड़ेगा, फिल्म मेकिंग पे कितना असर पड़ेगा?
देखो इससे ये फर्क पड़ेगा ना, मुझे ऐसे लग रहा है कि बहुत ऐसी ये वैसे देखा जाए तो कमर्शियल फिल्में नहीं, ये बहुत कुछ अलग बताना चाहती है, अलग दिखाना चाहती है ये फिल्में। तो अगर ऐसी फिल्में बड़े बड़े फेस्टिवल में अगर सिलेक्ट होती है ना, तो बहुत लोगों का हौसला बढ़ता है कि हमारे बहुत लोग फिर ऐसी अलग अलग कहानियाँ लेके आएंगे। तो मुझे लगता है कि ये बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट है इंडियन सिनेमा के लिए। और बहुत अंदर से ऐसे लगता है कि अगर नॉमिनेशन हुआ है तो हम ऐसे ही नहीं आएंगे, कुछ लेके ही आएंगे।
Well, thank you for investing your time and watching this edition of The World 24/7. As always, we'll keep tracking the latest updates for you. Do stay tuned.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
New day, new show, a new experience. Start your day with the news, not views. We bring you stories that matter and impact your lives. News that informs and keeps you ahead.
From Maximum City, Mumbai,
To the state of governance, Delhi, NDTV brings to you the best breakfast show. The breakfast show only on NDTV 24/7 every morning at 8 a.m.
We are able to solve a lot of issues of farmers in the constituency.
I want to do something that can make a difference.
लगातार जनता की आवाज को सरकार तक पहुंचाने का काम मैं करता हूं।
I was a student up until very recently. I really want to work and do something for my people because they have given me this opportunity. They have elected me.
काफी सहयोग मिला मुझे, कभी ऐसा लगा नहीं कि मैं